Welcome to this explainer. Let's just jump right in, shall we? Picture this. You're walking into an ancient, high-stakes intellectual trial. We are talking about a scene of absolute elite scholarship, literally a gathering of the absolute greatest minds in the land. And right at the center of this incredibly intimidating assembly, a fiercely confident 10-year-old boy. His name is Ashtavakra, and he is demanding entry into an exclusive space where children are strictly forbidden. Today, we're going to explore a legendary text that shows exactly how this young boy uses sheer, undeniable intellect to break down the massive barriers of age, authority, and tradition.
Section 1. The Gatekeeper's Challenge. A boy at the gates.
So young Ashtavakra arrives at King Janaka's gates as a guest, only to be totally blocked by a warder. The guard basically tells him, "Look, kid, only learned old Brahmanas are allowed inside." But instead of turning around and going home, Ashtavakra delivers this stunning rebuttal. He looks the gatekeeper dead in the eye and says, "One is not old because his head is gray." I absolutely love the unapologetic confidence here. It's a total mic drop moment. He's challenging the very foundation of how society measures maturity, telling the guard that the gods themselves regard someone as old if they possess deep knowledge, completely regardless of their physical years.
So the crucial point is this massive clash of worldviews. You've got the gatekeeper's view, which relies purely on superficial markers, right? Years lived, physical development, having gray hair. But Ashtavakra's view is incredibly profound. He argues that true merit doesn't come from years or wealth or who your friends are, but from being versed in the Vedas, the ancient texts of knowledge. He uses this brilliant metaphor of the slender Salmali tree. He says, you don't judge a tree by the growth of its knots. A tree is considered full-grown even if it's slender and short, just as long as it bears fruit. And a tree that yields no fruit, well, it simply isn't grown. Ashtavakra is basically standing there saying, I bear the fruits of wisdom.
Section 2. The Deadly Debater. The Ultimate Stakes.
Now, why is Ashtavakra even here? He has come specifically to defeat Vandin, the court's premier scholar. And the stakes? They honestly couldn't be higher. Vandin isn't just a tough opponent. He's a ruthless debater who eliminates his intellectual victims in a horrifying way. Defeated scholars are drowned by the king's faithful servants. This is literally a matter of life or death. Even King Janaka steps in to personally warn the young boy, explaining that many, many proud scholars have faded before Vandin like stars before the morning sun, completely terrified to even speak in the assembly.
But is Ashtavakra scared? Absolutely not. He's completely unfazed by the threat of death. He replies to the king with this fearless, stinging quote. He points out that Vandin considers himself a lion, roaring unchallenged, simply because he has never actually debated a man like him. Ashtavakra promises that once they meet, Vandin will be utterly dismantled. He says he will lie down dead, even like a broken-down cart on the highway with deranged wheels. The sheer audacity of this 10-year-old is just staggering, isn't it?
Section 3. The King's Riddles. Decoding the Ultimate Test.
So, before letting him inside to face Vandin, King Janaka decides to personally test if this kid is truly a master of speech or just full of vain, empty boasts. The king starts off with a complex mathematical riddle, asking, what has 30 divisions, 12 parts, 24 joints, and 360 spokes? Take a quick second and think about those numbers. What could the king possibly be referring to here?
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is Ashtavakra's brilliant, rapid-fire answer. He recognizes instantly that the king is talking about the ever-moving Wheel of Time. The numbers perfectly map to the ancient calendar measured by solar and lunar revolutions. The 360 spokes represent the days in the year. The 12 parts are the months. The 24 joints correspond to the half-months, and those 30 divisions, the days in a month. Ashtavakra even throws in a blessing, saying, "May that ever-moving wheel protect thee," which refers to the meritorious deeds performed at the proper times during the revolution of this very Wheel of Time.
The king doesn't even pause. He immediately fires off riddle number 2, asking about two mysterious forces sweeping like a hawk. He says, "Who amongst the gods beareth those two which go together like two mares yoked to a car, and sweep like a hawk, and to what also do they give birth?" He's asking about something incredibly destructive, born of something that uses the wind as its charioteer.
And this is where we really see Ashtavakra's genius shine. He flawlessly grasps both the physical phenomena and their deep spiritual implications. He answers that the sweeping hawk literally represents thunder and lightning, but metaphysically, it represents misery and death. And the entity born of the wind is literally a cloud, but metaphorically, it represents the human mind. Ashtavakra proves right here that he doesn't just know basic natural science.
He deeply understands the hidden Vedic metaphors about the human condition.
Section 4, the rapid-fire round. Fish, egg, stone, river.
All right, the king now unleashes this final barrage of rapid-fire riddles, fully designed to test the absolute limits of the boy's speed and depth of knowledge. It's like an intellectual boss fight. He asks, "What is that doth not close its eyes, even while sleeping?" Sounds like a simple trivia question, right? But in this assembly, there's always a deeper layer.
Ashtavakra instantly replies, "It is a fish that doth not close its eyelids while sleeping." But he knows exactly what the king is actually testing, so he's also implying the deeper metaphysical meaning. The fish represents the male being, the soul, which remains ever conscious even when the physical body rests.
Boom! The king fires the next seemingly impossible paradox right at him. What is it that doth not move, even when born?
Ashtavakra catches it flawlessly. He answers that literally, it's an egg which doesn't move when it's produced. But again, zooming out to Vedic philosophy, he's actually referring to the mundane egg of the universe, the vast cosmological origin from which all creation springs, totally motionless at its inception.
The king finishes this intense rapid-fire round by throwing 2 questions at him in one breathless sequence. What is it that hath no heart, and what doth increase even in its own speed?
Ashtavakra doesn't hesitate for a microsecond. He states, "It is a stone that hath no heart, and it is a river that increases in its own speed." The literal answers are spot on, but the metaphysical depth is what proves his divine energy. He connects a stone that has no heart to the enlightened soul that has completely renounced its connection with the physical body. And that ever-accelerating river? That represents the flowing, highly dedicated heart of a true yogi.
Final section. The ultimate test passed. Admittance granted.
The barrage of riddles is finally over. You have to imagine the deafening silence in that assembly hall right now. The stunned, paramount sovereign, King Janaka, formally concedes. He looks at this 10-year-old kid and says, "I consider thee not a boy, but a matured man. I therefore give thee admittance." It is such a deeply satisfying underdog victory. This kid just flawlessly decoded the cosmos, the mind, and the soul on the spot, and the gates are finally opened. Let's move to and see how this builds up to the dramatic final moment. The king simply points across the massive assembly hall and states, "There is Vandin." He points Ashtavakra directly toward his lethal opponent. The warm-up is officially over. The life-for-death debate that Ashtavakra traveled all this way for is now standing right in front of him.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought, directly inspired by Ashtavakra's triumph. If true wisdom, true authority, and genuine knowledge aren't simply measured by gray hair, fancy job titles, or years lived on this earth, how much are we severely underestimating the unexpected voices around us today? Ashtavakra proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the slender tree can bear the absolute most incredible fruit. It really makes you wonder how that ultimate showdown with Vandin is going to unfold, doesn't it? Thanks for joining me today, and keep questioning exactly how you measure wisdom.